Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well. A little bit of an update with what's been happening over the last 24 hours in and around Molineux. Nothing much has advanced since the last video in regards to those players that I'd mentioned yesterday, but there's still been a few pockets of news and one little subject that I want to talk about later on in the video as well. As always, guys, if you want to get involved, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section down below, and it really helps out when you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click that notification bell if YouTube lets you, to keep up to date with when the videos drop. Let's look at some of the rumours as of today, though. Liam Keane put a little note on one of his pieces to say that Wolves still are in the market for another forward or an attacking player that suits the system that Rob Edwards is looking at the moment and how we're playing. Of course, it really depends on this, I think. If Jürgen Strand-Larsen leaves, I still think we do need another forward in some capacity. Someone to play in that similar role to how Hwang is playing right now, even if Jürgen Strand-Larsen stays or goes. I think that probably will be one of the big dominoes, though. If that falls into place, it might be panic stations. But look, we're going into the last there's only a handful of days left now in this transfer window. So, Wolves have got to sort of dig their heels in. If deals and offers are coming in, late on in the window, Wolves are probably going to have to demand pretty decent prices. I know they've already been doing that, but it'll be interesting to see. But as fans, obviously there's still holes in the team. There's still areas we want to improve. So let's wait and see. One player that Wolves have been linked with today is the young Brazilian player Bruninho, 17 years of age, currently playing for Atlético Paranaense in Brazil. Meant to be a very talented young footballer coming through. Benfica, one of the other teams in Europe, looking at him at the moment. However, I would assume this is one that's probably going to be more for a summer move. Of course, Wolves at the moment, 99% likely going to be in the Championship, so I don't think it's a move we'll particularly look to make when we're down in the second tier, I would assume. And one of the other things that you have to consider in this, in my opinion, this is probably one of the biggest reasons this article has come out. The player has rejected a couple of contracts until he has sort of a clear vision on what his club in Brazil want him to do and where that club is going. So I have no doubt this is an agent using a bit of pulling power to see if they can get improved terms on a contract for him. But it's from a fairly decent source in GE Globo, who tend to push a lot of the Brazilian stuff and have broken the Brazilian stuff when Wolves have been linked with certain players in Brazil. So maybe we'll keep our eye on this one. But common sense for me, in my head, I don't think this one, especially in the near future, will come to fruition so soon. Enzo Gonzalez as well. There's been ongoing speculation about him over the last few weeks, really. Even in December, there were talks about him. Look, he's come back into training. He's been in a couple of first-team match day squads, but not been given that opportunity as of yet. So we know it's pretty likely that Wolves will try and look to find a loan move for him. The difficulty is, with Enzo, he's not played a lot of football in a long, long time. He's not been out on loan away from Wolves. He's had injuries. When he's played for Paraguay, he got injured and suspended. So there's such a small sample size of teams to go off for Enzo. So really, somebody, and Wolves need to hope that somebody takes a punt on him just to get some minutes in the legs, just to get some competitive football for him. So I know some Championship teams have been touted, teams in Turkey. The word that I think I mentioned before, Botafogo, but I don't really know how that's going to work. They have been linked again in Brazil, but they've got a transfer ban at the moment. Another team that have been linked in Mallorca. Yesterday in Spain, there were talks about Mallorca, and Wolves are open to obviously letting him move on loan. There was a mention of a potential permanent deal in there as well, but then I saw another report from Brazil suggesting that Wolves, although that is a consideration, would rather him just get some minutes in the legs and see where we are. I think if you sell him, firstly, I don't think you get a lot of money for him. Secondly, I think you're just sort of admitting the whole move has been a failure, which so far, maybe it's not through our own fault. Maybe it was a bit too early for Enzo. He's injured a lot. He's been unfortunate with injuries. I think a loan move between now and the end of the season, somewhere where he's going to get a lot of football. Mallorca is an interesting one for me because obviously they had Chiquinho previously, and that was a bit of a disaster of a loan move to them. So get somewhere you can definitely get football, even if you have to drop to Championship, even worst case like League One level, just to get minutes in the legs, see what level he's at, because we just don't know. He's not played competitive football. he needs to try and play football to get into the Paraguay World Cup team and squad. So we'll wait and see. And one piece of news that dropped right after I uploaded yesterday's video actually was in regards to David Muller-Wolfer. Of course, we know, start of the week, Roma had come in with a bid. It was rejected. Some sources here in England were expecting or suggesting that it's unlikely that Roma come back in for more. A report in Italy yesterday suggested that Wolves want around 20 million euros to consider a sale for Muller-Wolfer, which again is Wolves digging their feet in, demanding a decent fee. The Italian club, however, are more inclined to try and pay around 10 million euros. Bearing in mind they only paid 8 million euros, and they hope that the player and Wolves' position can help the club, be convinced to move him on. So maybe one to watch, but again, I don't think so. I don't think Roma are stumping up that cash. I think, again, there's a lot of these players that you want to be getting your money back for them at least, really. And, the situation on a lot of moves, Strand Larsen, I expect it probably to spark into life in the next day or so. Obviously, Agbadou is another one. It'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Besiktas playing hard to get a little bit, but I have no doubt they might all of a sudden come back into the frame as well. So we will wait and see. And one thing that I do want to finish off on is in regards to Nathan Shi. At present, obviously the interim chairman of Wolverhampton Wanderers, and he's now officially opened dialogue with the Wolves fans. So the Wolves Supporters Trust met with Nathan Shi, and they have put out a statement and a summary of their meeting with him, which I'm going to flag up on the screen shortly. I will also leave a link in the description down below if you want to read a little bit more in depth and take your own time to read that. Now, it's important to note as well that I will be meeting alongside a number of fan groups. I'll be meeting with Nathan Shi as well tomorrow, and I'll be giving my thoughts on that meeting, what was discussed in that meeting in due course as well. But this is from the Trust meeting. Obviously, I will try and dig a bit deeper into some of these points. And if there is anything that you guys think is crucial to bring up during that meeting or suggest, obviously feel free to let me know in the comment section down below, because it would be appreciated. Now, these are the 8 points that on the Trust statement that they have flagged up as some of the main points from that meeting. The first one being that the club have acknowledged their mistakes, obviously in relation to the football management decisions, the player recruitment and sales. I think they do appreciate now, as it says there, that relegation is likely, but the club believes that Rob Edwards and Matt Jackson, alongside the backroom staff, will bring a bit of stability. Fosun have confirmed, we saw this under Jeff Shi, towards the back end of Jeff Shi, confirmed there is no intention at the moment to sell the club in the immediate future. Of course, with the protests and so on, a lot of people just wanted Jeff Shi out. There has still been heat this week. We mentioned it on the back end of our podcast on Monday. People still want to demonstrate. People still want to protest. Which is fair enough, but as a collective, we need to say, right, do we want Fosun to move on? Do we want them to sell? It's very difficult right now, but I think everybody in and around the club environment knows the mood of the fans right now. And number 3 was Nathan Shi committed to undertaking a full strategic review of the operational side of the football club. He's been tasked with producing a new vision and strategy document for the chairman, Zhou Guangchong, who is the chairman, obviously, of Fosun and the owner of Wolverhampton Wanderers, expected to be completed by the end of the season or the beginning of the next. That's what we need. That's what I want, really, a vision, a strategy. What's the roadmap for Wolverhampton Wanderers? So, again, I'll probably try and jump into that in a bit more detail the next time I talk about it on this channel. And, of course, the big one is Jeff Shi's involvement in this football club. And Nathan Shi reportedly has full responsibility for Wolverhampton Wanderers as it stands, reports to the owner, and Jeff Shi has no role in the football operations of the football club because, of course, Jeff Shi is still chairman of the overall Fosun Sports Group, which Wolves is in the umbrella of. So I think that was an important thing to know. They want to maintain the Class 1 Academy status, which is crucial. The Wolves women as well, which is on point 7. It's going to have no impact on the Wolves women. And I believe, obviously, they've already put things in place in the event that Wolves women do get promoted this season as well, which obviously was a massive fiasco last year. The club has agreed to arrange a separate meeting with the Trust and others focused specifically on fan engagement and concerns raised in their document. They did the Wolves Trust did like a manifesto, which again you could catch on their website, basically what they think needs to be done to help the club get back on track, really. And the one point that I haven't mentioned yet is that point number 6, The club has confirmed its intention to begin discussions with the relevant stakeholders, including the City Council, regarding the refurbishment and redevelopment of areas of Molineux, with particular focus on the Steve Bull stand. They also committed to considering the establishment of a working group, including supporter representatives as part of this process. So those 8 points there, for me, seems and sounds productive. Of course, I will hear it with my own ears and see it with my own eyes tomorrow, when I have I suppose at the moment is a pleasure and a little bit of an honour, to meet up with senior members of this football club to discuss what's going on. Of course, I wish it was in better circumstances, but all it takes for a lot of us fans, we're happy or satisfied, I suppose, to hear some of this, but the club have got to stop talking and do actions, do things, make it obvious that they want to put this club in the right position again and do the right things. So it's I suppose it's a waiting game a little bit for us, and it's just a shame that it's taken so long and so much damage for that to be realised now by the football club. But that's all for today, guys. I'm sure there will be more news and rumours coming up within the next few hours or so. So as always, be sure to follow us on the socials at Talking Walls everywhere, and keep up to date with what's been going on at the club. But until next time, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.